allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I get roll call, please?
Mayor Dave Dillon.
Here.
Council members Norris Johnson.
Here.
Lindsee Larson. Tim Porter. Absent.
Approval of agenda. Can I get a motion for that?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any additions to the agenda or changes? I have one to add under airport. Well, I'm sorry, that's not the, yeah, well, that is under the agenda, yep. Under the airport taxiway project contractor, Clark Company pulled their bid. We will rebid the project. So add that under airport. And then I think that was the only addition I had. Anybody else? Hearing none, all in favor of the agenda indicate with an eye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, agenda passes. On the consent agenda tonight is the approval of minutes from May 21st, 2026, the approval of bills, and Resolution 2613, a resolution accepting donation.
Move for approval?
Second.
Any questions on that? Just thanking Bill Yord again. That was awfully nice of him. So, all in favor indicate with an eye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, consent agenda passes. Open forum. If anyone is here tonight to address any issue that is not on the agenda at this time. Hearing none. Move on to ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance 555, Chapter 34, water rates and charges, schedule pool filling, second reading. What do we have for discussion on that? I know I talked to Tammy, Tim and I had visited about that. What we were suggesting was there's the water fee, there's the delivery fee, and that leaves this much money, splitting that between water and fire.
Yeah.
Basically what you said last meeting, you know, taking the water fee, the delivery fee, the remaining money, split it in half, and
Yeah, that,
each goes to each department.
sure. That sounds good. Now, that goes into the fire general fund then? or-
Their budget, or, yeah, their budget line item.
It goes
yeah.
into the revenue.
Yeah,
Yeah, revenue.
which is still city money.
Right, exactly.
That's-
Yeah,
It's just
water
one
gets
account.
some,
Yep,
general
Yeah.
gets some.
yep,
Yeah.
and then just making sure that their fire delivery fee doesn't come out of their general budget. I mean, put in there to cover that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's not an added expense. Can we get a motion with that change?
so move.
Second.
Any other discussion on it? Hearing none, all in favor indicate with an eye. Aye, opposed. Ordinance 555, Chapter 34 passes. Let's see. B, ordinance, I gotta use my glasses. B, ordinance 556, amending tall grass height, first reading. I need a motion for that.
Make the motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion on that?
Why the change on that? Just,
Because 12 inches is really high,
yeah,
and then it takes quite a bit to get that knocked down.
okay, yeah,
And some people will just completely ignore it then after it's 12 inches because they don't have the equipment to cut it down.
Mhm.
So, I mean, if we at least get it to about 9 inches, that might be a little bit more easy to handle.
it's a little tricky to measure because you got some weeds
I
that
know.
tall and,
Mhm.
so what do you measure, but.
They're usually pretty ugly by the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I've
By 9
seen-
inches, it's,
Yeah,
pretty noticeable
So,
at
yeah.
that point.
You going with the 6 to 8 inch range?
I had a
Or
question about that. Was that, I didn't get a chance to reach out to Dolores or anybody, but
Oh.
was that meant to be a discussion topic for the council to talk about 6, 7, or 8? Because we don't want to,
Yeah.
what it's reading right now.
Right.
So,
It can be anywhere between 6 to 8.
well,
Do you want it to be a number?
yeah.
Yes.
I think
One
that would
point
be-
number.
Yeah.
I do too, and I'm more in the favor of, I mentioned it to Tammy today, 6 is a little low just because they recommend 3 to 4.
Yeah.
If you miss it for a couple days in the rain,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, not that they're gonna get a ladder the minute it hits 6 inches, but I was thinking more like 8 or 9.
Yeah, I would agree with that, yeah, because, you know, in a matter of 3 days, it can be beyond the 6
Okay.
inches.
Yeah.
And the way it's
So
growing now.
8 inches, we good with that?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, when it comes back to the second, it'll just basically read the same, but we'll take out the 12, or the words recommend, and just put 8 inches.
Unless we waive the second reading.
Can you waive it?
Or do you not want us
Something like
to?
that we're dealing with a nuisance ordinance, and we're making a change to what's been published, I would recommend
Okay.
highly that we have this.
Okay.
Sounds good. I got a motion and a second for that, didn't I?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, all in favor indicate with an aye.
Aye.
Opposed? First reading of that of ordinance 556 passes. Resolution 2614, resolution of application to the MPFA. A motion for that?
Make the motion.
Second?
Anything we need to know besides what's in there?
Yeah, yep, just for
It's
the
pretty
red line.
straightforward, yep.
Mhm.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? If not, all in favor of Resolution 2614 indicate with an aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 2614 passes. Reports of departments, boards, and commissions, city manager, auditor presentation of the audited financial statement. It's all yours. Yep.
Yep,
All right, well, I've passed out the full audit reports, the financial statements, and the report to members of governance, but as in the past, we're going to be walking through the summarized version, the presentation, kind of hitting the high points here. So if you flip into the first page there, I like to always start out with just a brief reminder on what exactly the audit process is and what's the purpose of the audit. So just in a nutshell, the audit consists of us obtaining your financial records and information from throughout the year, 2025, and performing various procedures over this information. So various inquiries with city staff, analytics where we compare to the budget or prior year trends, and lots of detailed testing and sampling procedures, looking at the individual transactions in your accounting system, looking at the invoices that are behind those, reports from the state and the county verifying funding, payroll reports, so on and so forth. All for the purpose of being able to express an opinion on whether or not we feel that your financial statements are accurate. And the opinion that we've given you this year is a unmodified opinion, which is a clean opinion and what you're hoping to achieve. Next page, here we talk about just some other required communications. So yes, you did get the clean opinion, but how did the audit go? Did we have any issues getting the information we needed? Did we have any difficulties or see any unusual accounting policies or journal entries, anything like that? As you can see from the items listed on this page, everything went smoothly. Tammy and Elizabeth both do a great job getting us what we need and making sure that the audit progresses well. Next page. As part of the audit, we also go through your processes and procedures, and we have some internal control related items that we have to report here. And I would say the 3 that we have listed on this page are basically the standard 3 that we almost always have for a city this size. But I'll run through them quickly here. The first one relates to audit adjustments. So as part of the audit process, we assist with certain year-end adjustments. And that's mostly what these adjustments are. Is they're year-end cash to accrual conversion entries. So recording things like capital assets and long-term debt balances, and assisting with some of those things that you only do at the end of the year. The next item there, segregation of duties. You know, you've got a limited number of people in the city who are involved with the accounting processes. So there's people who have essentially an entire access to your accounting system. And whenever that's the case, you want to be aware of that and implement as much oversight and ask questions whenever anything looks unusual. So we need to point that out during the audit as well. And then finally, we as a third party, we do prepare your financial statements, and whenever that's the case, when there's someone outside of the city performing that function, there's just a heightened risk that maybe a missing disclosure or something might, go unnoticed because we're just coming in at the end of the year and performing that function. Next page. We also have to review your compliance with Minnesota statutes during the audit. So the state gives us checklists related to all the areas listed here. How do you go about contracting and bidding for services? Where do you keep your cash and investments? Deal with conflicts of interest, so on and so forth. We did have one item this year that we came across, not a real significant item, but it's one that we get cities on this every once in a while just because people don't notice that it's hanging out there. So you had some old unclaimed checks. So basically you paid some checks out to vendors or sent out some checks and they never got cashed. And if they sit out there long enough, longer than 3 years, technically what you're supposed to do, if you've done your due diligence and you follow up and you can't get them to cash that check, you're supposed to report it to the state and then actually turn over those funds to the Commissioner of Commerce. So that was something where there were some outstanding checks that were older than 3 years out on the bank reconciliation. So it's something to look into and figure out what kind of action you need to take with those. Okay, with that, we'll move into the numbers here. So the first page here that says General Fund Trend Analysis at the top. This is just a big picture look at the general fund over the past 5 years, and then we have the 2025 budget on there as well. As you can see, very close to budget, just really big picture. Revenues were under budgeted amounts by just $22,000, which is basically right on the nose. And expenditures were below budgeted amounts as well by about $71,000. So overall, you had budgeted for a decrease in your fund balance of about $758,000. That's including transfers to and from other funds. And your actual change in fund balance for the year was a decrease of about $511,000. The next couple pages here, still looking at just the general fund, but here we break down those same revenues and expenditures just into smaller categories. So the first page here is looking at revenues broken down by category, and the next page is expenditures by category. You can see the majority of your revenues in the general fund do come from intergovernmental, or in other words, mostly state sources, other governments. So state funding and property taxes, and both of those very close to budget. Off on the right-hand side is the only area where things deviated a little bit. You had some contributions and donations that came in over budget, about $207,000, and then miscellaneous revenues came in under budget, about $234,000. So they basically offset each other there. Next page, same layout, but looking at expenditures. Once again, if you look at all the different categories here, very close in each category. The biggest differences, under general government, you were under budget about $57,000. Under public works, just due to fewer repairs and maintenance and supplies and fuel costs, you were under about $77,000 there. And then on the right-hand side, that capital outlay, that's where you were over budget about $104,000. Looked like the pumper truck was included there this past year, which might have been more than budgeted. Next page, we have the unrestricted portion of your fund balance. So this is taking your fund balance for the general fund at the end of the year and taking it as a percentage of your annual expenditures. So you have a policy in place for this ratio to be approximately 42%, which is roughly 5 months of operating expenditures in your budget or in your fund balance at the end of the year. So your policy is about 42%. You were at about 67% at the end of the year. So you're still above your policy, and I'd consider that to be a pretty healthy fund balance for the general fund. All right, with that, we'll move away from the general fund, take a brief look at some of your other funds or areas here. The next page here, we have your debt service funds, kind of all in aggregate, and then your capital project funds as well. Debt service, the activity here is very standard, revenues from taxes and assessments, and then using that to make your debt payments. The one thing that stood out a little bit is under that net transfers row. You had transfers out, you had closed out some debt service funds and put that remaining cash over in your general fund. So because of that, that was basically what drove your fund balance in this area to decrease about $166,000. Your capital project funds, the vast majority of the activity noted there was related to the airport road project and wrapping that up. So you have project expenditures and then revenues from the grant reimbursements. And then on the transfers row, that $450,000, that's from the water and sewer funds to help finance their share of that project. And you can see the cash in both of those categories over the past 5 years on the next page. And then your other governmental funds kind of all wrapped together, some smaller funds, charitable gambling, revolving loan, police forfeitures, etc. You can see debt service dropped off about $206,000 this past year. Capital project funds held pretty steady, slight decrease, and then your other funds increased about $88,000. Okay, we'll move into your enterprise funds. We'll take a look at your water fund here, and the graph at the top is focused just on your operating revenues and expenditures. You can see these have been pretty consistent over recent years, except in 2025 you had an increase in both operating revenues and expenses. Both increased in the range of $190,000 to $200,000. The revenues, you had a rate increase, of course, which accounted for much of that. And then on the expense side, you had some additional repairs and maintenance and depreciation expense, etc. As a result, your overall change in net position was pretty similar to the prior year, had an increase of about $69,000. On the next page, we have your sewer fund. Here your operating expenses have consistently exceeded your operating revenues for several years here. Compared to the prior year, operating revenues dropped off slightly, down about $13,000. Operating expenses did increase about $49,000. Looked like additional repairs and maintenance, lift station pumps, etc. But as a result, you did have a decrease in your net position here of about $102,000. So this is a fund I would keep an eye on a little bit, just because you have consistently had operating expenses that exceed your operating revenues. And you'll see that coming up on a further page here when we look at the cash trend for that fund. Next page, liquor fund. Liquor fund operations were strong again this year. Operating revenues, or I should say sales, on a net basis, net of the cost of those sales, were up about $24,000. Pull out operating expenses for the year, and you had operating income of about $145,000 for the year. You were able to transfer about $300,000 to the general fund again this year to help finance or help fund the general fund operations. And the next page shows the cash for each of those three funds over the past 5 years. You can see they all decreased a bit this year, with the sewer fund taking a bit of a sharper decrease than the other two funds. Alright, so that does it for each one of the individual funds. Just a couple final pages here where we take all of the assets and liabilities of the city in total and wrap them together into kind of an aggregate presentation. So the first page here is looking just at assets. You can see overall pretty consistent with the prior year. Current assets, your cash receivables, dropped off a little bit, but on the other hand, your capital assets and infrastructure increased. So basically, you were just investing more into your infrastructure throughout the year. Next page, same layout, but looking at liabilities. The only real change here is a decrease in your debt, your long-term liabilities there, the red bar. And that's just due to the debt payments that you made throughout the year. So then if you compare the two on the next page, we have the same assets from 2 pages ago in the blue, the same liabilities from the previous page, although I pull out some of that pension liability stuff that you don't have any control over. And then the green is the net between the two. So you can kind of see on a trend basis there what's happening, net assets minus liabilities. You can see from 2024 to 2025, just a very slight increase on a net basis. And then just for informational purposes, I put 2 extra slides in here just showing the future debt payments that are required each year based on the debt that was outstanding at the end of 2025. So this isn't showing the balance of the debt each year. This is showing the actual amount of payment that is due each year. So the first page here is showing debt in your governmental funds. That's debt that's financed primarily by taxes and assessments. You can see that tapers off over time, the amount of payment you have to make each year, with the last payment being in 2039. And then same layout on the next page for your proprietary funds, your water and sewer funds. Actually, this is entirely your water fund, and the last payment on this is 2028. Of course, that'll change if you issue new debt in the near future here. All right, it's a lot of information all at once, but if there's any questions.
Overall, all good?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the city's in a strong financial position, and the audit went very smoothly. Like I mentioned, the one fund I'd keep a bit of an eye on is that sewer fund, just because
Yeah.
it does look like the cash is dropping off a bit, and, yeah, don't want to let that drop off too far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Otherwise, thank you very much. Appreciate all your work.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
you'll have to make a motion to accept.
Yep. Can I
Make a motion to accept the auditor's report?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor of the report indicate with an eye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. Audit passes. Thanks again, Ryan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
All right, moving on. Police. I think they just have the incident summary.
Yeah.
They should be showing off the new vehicle tomorrow night in the parade, I would assume. So that'll be
Yeah.
good. Looks nice. And Quinn is not here, right?
No.
Okay. I was just going to mention, I see him on Sunday afternoon going by my house. I see him on Saturdays driving by my house, see him in the evenings driving. I know he's putting in a ton of hours, and I really appreciate all the work he's done and all the time he's put in. Getting everybody up and running, and we're grateful to have new officers on board. That's great. Parks.
Working on that trail from the donation, that started about a week ago, making good progress there. Getting ready for the parade this week, just cleaning everything up, mulching all the parks, and
Yep, all
Looks good.
Mhm. All right, Public Works. Sorry, I gotta grab these again. Authorized design phase 2027 water tower maintenance project. Can I get a motion for that?
So move.
Second.
Okay. Any info from anybody we need to know? Anything new, Gary, or?
no, nothing new, it's all just in
It's all part-
preparation for next year.
Yep,
For the rehabilitation of it.
that's what it looked like, yep.
Yep.
Okay, any questions? If not, can I get a motion to authorize the design, we got a motion. All in
Yep.
favor indicate with an eye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? There we go. So the authorization passes. Approval of plans and authorization to obtain bids for the street grading.
This would be for the Milaca Junction.
Yep.
This is not the one that's been revoked, is it?
What?
Is this the project where winning bid?
No.
I need to make a comment about that one.
Okay.
Can I get a motion for this one, for the street
So moved.
grading? Thank you.
Second.
What's their timeline on that, are we hoping?
It would probably be August
Yeah.
by the
I figured
time.
by that time, okay. Any questions on that? We've looked at that plan quite a bit. If not, all in favor indicate with an eye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion passes, so the obtaining bids for the street grading. Hopefully that'll be a little boost for us, that would be nice.
Yeah.
Liquor store, Vicky's not here.
Fire department.
I was out of town I was in Canada during the open house or the celebration. How did that go?
Good.
Good?
It was very well attended,
Good,
full house.
good,
So it was very nice.
great. Fire department? Chris,
We
any?
got our rescue truck pretty much in service. We ordered stickers for it, so that's it. We didn't really much on it.
Okay.
So we squeezed it into the hall somehow, but we took some stuff out of there.
So it's there but not in use yet?
Yeah, we're using it.
Okay. Oh, you are?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep, so it's tight in there, but we got it in there.
okay, great.
And then, golf tournament's coming up in a couple weeks here, but so we already capped that at 40 teams and that filled up in under 2 weeks. So
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier.
the support we get for that is pretty overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Yeah, it's a great tournament. Good. Thank you. Planning and zoning, nothing right now. Under airport, this was the addition for the taxiway project where Clark Company pulled their bid and we'll rebid the project.
Mr. Lindsee, yeah, so I had a chance to take a look at some paperwork that the engineering firms sent me. One of the things that we want to look at is the ability to go after the bid bond to recover funds from that to offset the additional costs that the city will incur in having to rebid the project. My concern is that within the bond document itself, as with any contract, there's lots of what-ifs and wherefores and ins and outs and ways that they could wiggle out of a valid claim. And some of the things that are of concern, which would potentially nullify that would be if, A, the city rejects all bids, or, we fail to accept the bid and then provide notice. And so my request, basically the issue is right now, the city will have to rebid the project eventually. We'll have to go through that process. And I understand there's a timing issue that relates to that. My concern is if the council takes action to reject all bids tonight or takes any formal action in that respect, it might negatively affect the city's ability to pursue a claim against the bid bond. What I guess I would like to be able to do is table the matter as far as taking any formal action right now until after I can talk to Nicholas and get the deadlines for when bids needed to be awarded, figure out exactly where we are. This might necessitate the need, I'm just letting Tammy know this now, this is my fault for not being able to get this information from Nick before the meeting, is that we might need to schedule a special meeting for purposes of dealing with just this one issue. If A, we're bumping up against a timeline with respect to that, and B, a substantial delay of a month would negatively affect the project moving forward. So what I would ask, that's kind of where we are as far as action goes, but I would simply ask is that a motion be made to table this issue until no later than the next meeting, but if I can let Tammy know that a special meeting will be needed, she can reach out to you guys, we can get that thrown on the books and deal with it in that way, and if it needs to be advanced to that special meeting, that be approved. So basically, move to table until the next regular meeting unless advanced to a special meeting.
Okay, somebody want to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Okay,
And I will harass him, I'm gonna send him an email right now, and I will harass him all day tomorrow.
sounds good.
And Friday, even though it's, Juneteenth, maybe close.
Okay, all in favor of that, of tabling, indicate with an aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, so we'll table that and wait to hear from you, Damien.
Thank you.
And Tammy. Committees, I don't think we have anything there right now, correct?
Nothing.
Okay. No unfinished business and no new business. So at this time, we will move to a closed meeting. So I will need a motion to close the meeting pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D05 Subdivision 3B to discuss the pending litigation of Mark Rubin versus City of Milaca. The meeting will be subject to the attorney-client privilege, and absolute confidentiality is necessary to allow a discussion between the city council and other city representatives and the city's attorneys about the litigation, the allegations that have been made, and the city's strategy for defending the case and participating in alternative dispute resolution as required by court order and court rules. Need a motion to close the meeting?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?